Hi, my name's Nikki. I'm the Obsessive Bookseller, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at my stats from 2021. Based on the fact that I didn't quite read as much last year as I thought I would, I set my goal conservatively this year for 75 books completed, and I almost made it. I read 65 books this year. If you'd asked me a month ago before all these end-of-year stats came up, I would have said, oh yeah, well, I may not have read as many books, but I've been reading more fantasy tomes, which has more page count, so my book count will be lower, but my page count should be up there. So yeah, I'm reading about the same as I was years before. No. Both my total books read and my overall page count was lower than almost any other year prior. I'm clocking in at 25,232 pages read and 65 books total, which is not anything to poo-poo. Like, those numbers are pretty decent. They're just not as high as I thought they would be. Like, there was a time in my life where between two jobs, I was working 50 hours a week and I was going for my master's degree full-time, and I still managed to read 100 physical books a year. This was before audiobooks. 100 physical books a year with all of that other stuff going on. And I'm looking at my life right now and how many opportunities I have to read, and I'm like, this should be easy. What happened this year? Part of my problem is, and I've mentioned this in a couple of posts, I've been trying to read too many books at once, and so that steals any momentum I have for any one book, and it keeps me reading long after I would have normally DNF. There's a whole bunch of problems with it for me. So my reading numbers started improving the minute that I focused on one book at a time, and ever since then I've had so much of a more satisfying reading experience. It's life-changing. For me. And at the beginning of the year, I was focusing more on obligation reads. I have a gig with AudioFile magazine, and then I subject myself to a bunch of ARCs, even though I know I don't have time to read them. And then I was also at the mercy of library holds. So books that I wasn't even sure were worthy enough to bring home and spend cold hard cash on, I was putting at a higher priority than the books in my collection that I did spend money on. Especially near the beginning of the year, most of the books read were just meh, okay library books. I was on a nonfiction kick at the beginning of the year also. So recognizing that I was at the mercy of that and kind of changing that sense of urgency that I felt whenever a hold became available, learning how to turn off that urge to check it out immediately went a long way towards improving my reading experience as well. But here's the thing, like, all of that's great, but why is it such a low reading year for me? And I love GoodReads because you can look back at years prior and they have these awesome stats, and I looked at mine and something stuck out to me very clearly and made everything make sense suddenly. So 2016, another short year, I had a baby. This year, very short year, very comparable, had a baby. And we're not even going to talk about 2019. I know that was a short year also, but I can totally explain that one. Now it all makes sense to me. As optimistic as I was that I'd be able to have a baby and still read with the same attention and devotion, yeah, just not going to happen. So next time I have a child, I'm just going to set my goal at 50 and ride that out. Anyway, I really love that GoodReads has these end-of-year stats to kind of let you look back over your year, and for me, it helps me set goals going forward. I look at habits and patterns and try to determine if I really am reading the best books first. Here's some of the stats. So the shortest book I read was The Wandering Earth by Cixin Liu at 45 pages. The longest book I read was Rhythm of War, 1,270 pages. And truth be told, I think a lot of that was read in 2020, but whatever. Average length of the book I read was 388 pages, which it's kind of funny because I know I've been reading a lot more tomes, but I've also read more novellas this year than any year prior. You can't get accurate no matter what you do. This surprised me. The most popular book I read was Dead Until Dark by Charlaine Harris. I would have thought a Sanderson book would have been, or an Abercrombie or something, but nope. Probably because of the show, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Over 700,000 people have read that one. And the least read is Son of China. 581 people shelved that book by Cixin Liu. It was just okay, 3-star. My average rating for 2021, 3.3 out of 5 stars. And this is funny because in years past, my ratings have been much higher. But like I said, I went through a lot of duds earlier in the year and it just pulled everything down. Plus, I think I'm getting overcritical and a lot pickier in my old age, and my grumpy attitude is showing up in my ratings a lot more. I'm just expecting more and more from books these days, and that's partly due to authors like Abercrombie who are showing me that there can be a lot more. So I blame all the good authors for the fact that I'm being grouchy. I like how that sounds. The highest rated book that I read this year, Rhythm of War by Sanderson. My first review of the year, which I don't even think is a part of my stats, it's just the one I reviewed because it's a DNF, was Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. I stopped at about 30%, and I'm quite pleased with the rant review that I wrote for it, if you want to check that out on GoodReads. And my most recent review, my last review of the year, Pariah by Anthony Ryan. So starting with a bang and ending with a bang. But looking at my year of books, I had stellar reads, at least one stellar read every single month, and then the rest was just filler novels that I really didn't like too much. And then you get to the end of the year where I've got maybe one filler novel per month, and then the rest are just stellar reads. So that's what I'm hoping to carry over into 2022. I'm really hoping that with this newfound momentum, this awesome booktube community that I've joined, that I'll be able to carry some excellent momentum into next year. I think optimistically I'm going to keep my want to read number at 75 going into 2022, but we shall see. That's my year in reading. I recently did a video of the top books that I read this year. I'll link that down below if you want to check that out. So I'm quickly losing daylight here, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for being part of my reading year in 2021. Starting this booktube channel is one of the coolest things I've ever done, and something I'm so proud of myself for being brave enough to do. And I hope to only get better and better with each video. So thank you so much for all of your support, and I hope to catch y'all in 2022.